I am an old man now, 73 years old, and I have come to understand something about life. Truth does not always come when you are ready for it. Sometimes it waits. It watches you build your happiness. Then it arrives to take everything back. I raised 3 children, fed them, carried them, loved them. With everything I had left in this tired body, I watched them take their first steps, heard their first words, held them when they cried in the middle of the night. And all that time, I believed they were mine, but they were not. I was not always this broken man you hear now. There was a time when my laughter filled rooms, when my name meant something, when my wife was still alive. Her name was Grace. She was the kind of woman who made life feel lighter, even when it wasn't. We tried for children for years, but nothing came. Doctors, prayers, hope, all of it slowly turned into silence. And one day, she stopped asking. That was the day I knew. She had already started grieving a child that never came. Then one day, she came to me with tears in her eyes. But this Shimi, they were not sad tears. "I'm pregnant," she said. I didn't speak. I just stared at her, because after all those years, hope had become something I no longer trusted. But the months passed, and her stomach grew. And for the first time in my life, I allowed myself to believe 9 months later, a child was born. A boy. I held him in my hands, and I whispered, "You are my son." After the first came the second, a girl. Then the third, another girl. 3 children, 3 miracles. Or so I thought. Our house was no longer quiet. It was filled with noise, laughter, fight, footsteps running across the floor. And for years, I never questioned anything. Why would I? They had my name. They had my love, and I gave them everything. I worked harder than any man should, not because I had to, but because I wanted to. School fees, clothes.com, food.com, medical bills. I carried it all, proudly. .com, because every father believes one thing. If my children are okay, then I am okay. I didn't know. I was building my life. On a lie, it started small. The boy didn't look like me, not even a little. People would joke. Maybe he took after his mother, and I would laugh, because that was easier than thinking deeper. The girls, same thing. Different features, different mannerisms, different everything. But love. Love does not ask questions until it is forced to. It was a normal day. Nothing special, nothing unusual. But sometimes, the day that breaks your life looks just like every other day. A man came to see me, a stranger. He asked one question. "Are those children really yours?" I should have chased him away. I should have ignored him. But something inside me shifted. I confronted my wife, not with anger, but with fear. Because deep down, I already knew. And when she looked at me, she didn't deny it. She didn't argue. She didn't even cry immediately. She just said, "I didn't know how to tell you." That was the moment. My life ended. None of them were mine. Not the first. Not the second. Not the third. All those years, all those memories, all those sacrifices belonged to a truth I never knew. She said she was afraid of losing me, so she chose silence. And I lived inside that silence 4 decades. Today, those children are grown. They still call me father, and I still answer, not because it is true, but because it once was in my heart. If you ask me today, what hurts the most? It is not the lie. It is not the betrayal. It is this, that I loved them fully, without ever knowing. They were never mine. Love does not need blood, but truth will always demand a price. The morning after I found out, the sun still rose. Birds still sang. People still walked past my house as if nothing had happened. But inside me, everything had stopped. I sat on the same chair, the one I am sitting on now, and I asked myself one question. Who am I if I am not their father? Because for years, that was my identity. That was my purpose. That was the reason I woke up every morning. And now it was gone. We still lived under the same roof. Nothing changed, but everything changed. The boy still called me Papa. The girls still laughed in the kitchen. Their mother still moved around the house, as if normality could erase truth. But I can hear it now, in every voice, in every word, in every silence. The lie. Children are not blind. They may not understand everything, but they feel everything. The youngest girl came to me one evening. She held my hand, the same way she used to when she was little, and she asked me, "Papa, why don't you smile anymore?" I wanted to answer her. I wanted to tell her the truth. But how do you tell a child that the love she believes in was built on something broken? So I did what I had been doing for years. I lead you. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. And slowly, I began to step back. Not loudly, not suddenly, just quietly. I stopped asking about their day, stopped correcting them, stopped being the father I used to be, because every time I tried, a voice inside me would whisper, "You are not their father." Us for her. I could not look at her the same way again. The woman I loved, the woman I trusted, now felt like a stranger wearing a familiar face. She tried to talk, tried to explain, tried to fix something that could not be repaired. Because some truths do not break things, they erase them. One evening, I left the house, not because I had somewhere to go, but because I could no longer stay. I walked for hours through streets I had known all my life. But that night, everything felt different. Like I no longer belonged anywhere. I realized something painful that night. I had lived a full life, but I did not know my own story. The memories were real. The love was real. The sacrifices were real. But the foundation was not. Truth has a way of spreading, even when you try to bury it. One day, the eldest girl came to me. Her eyes were not the same. There was something inside them now. Something heavier. She knew. She sat in front of me, quiet, still. And then she asked, her voice trembling, "Is it true?" I looked at her. And for the first time in my life, I did not know what to say. So I told her the truth. She didn't cry immediately. She just sat there, processing something too big for someone her age. Then she said something that I will carry with me until I die. "You may not be my father by blood, but you are the only father I know." Something changed in that moment. Not the truth. The truth remained, but something inside me softened, because for the first time I realized something I had been too broken to see. Love does not ask for proof. I am still here, still in this house, still sitting on this chair, and they are still here too. They still call me Papa, not out of habit, but out of choice. And maybe, just maybe, that is what makes it real. Not blood, not truth, but choice. If I had the chance to go back, to know everything from the beginning, to avoid the pain, to avoid the betrayal, I don't know. If I would choose differently, because even though they were never mine, they were still my children. Jimmy has a way of slowing down. When you grow old, days no longer rush. They stretch. They linger. They sit beside you, like an old friend who has nothing left to say. I began to notice things I never paid attention to before. The way the walls of my house carried echoes of laughter that had already passed. The way the chairs remained empty longer than they used to. The way silence returned again. They grew up faster than I expected. Faster than I was ready for. The boy became a man. Strong. Independent. The girls became women with their own lives, their own dreams. And slowly, one by one, they left the house. The same house that was once filled with noise returned to silence. But this chimney, it felt different, not as painful, not as heavy, because now the silence was not empty. It was full of memories. Sometimes they come back to visit, not as children, but as people. They sit with me, talk to me, love with me, and sometimes they still argue over small things, like they used to. And in those moments, I forget everything. There is something in their eyes now, something I didn't understand before. Respect. Not forced, not expected, but chosen. They look at me, not as a man who gave them life, but as a man who gave them something else, something deeper. One day, the boy knew. The man looked at me and said, "You are my father." He didn't say it casually. He didn't say it out of habit. He said it with intention. And that was when I understood something. That took me a lifetime to learn. Being a father is not about blood. It is not about names or history or biology. It is about presence. It is about staying. As for her, time changed her too. We became different. Not enemies. Not lovers. Just two people who shared a long story. She apologized many times. In words. In actions. In silence. And one day I forgave her. Not because she deserved it, but because I needed peace. Forgiveness is a strange thing. It does not erase the past. It does not fix what was broken, but it gives you space to breathe again. My body began to change. Slower movements, weaker runs, longer nights. The kind of tiredness that sleep cannot fix. I knew my time was coming. One evening, they all came. All three of them. Together. New occasion. No celebration. Just presence. They sat around me like they used to when they were young. And as I looked at them, I did not see the lie. I did not see the betrayal. I saw my life. Because whether the truth was hidden or not, they were still the story I lived. I spoke slowly, carefully, because I knew there wouldn't be many chances left. I may not have given you life, but you gave me one. And for that, I am grateful. They cried. All of them. Not loudly, not dramatically, just quietly. The kind of tears that come from love. That night, I slept differently. Not with regret, not with pain, but with peace. If you are listening to my voice now, remember this. Family is not always who you are born to. Sometimes it is who stays and who you choose. to stay far. If you were in my place, would you still stay and love those children? Should the truth have been told earlier? Or was silence the better choice? Would you still call him father if you were one of those children? Tell me honestly, if love feels real, does the truth still matter?